Good evening. This is the regular board meeting of September 5th, 2025. It is now 4:06 and we'll begin the roll call
President Cortese,
here.
Vice President Toe,
Here.
Clerk Lay,
Here.
Member Chavez. Here. Member Herrera.
Here.
Thank you.
So welcome to our regular board meeting. Are there any members of the public who would like to provide public comment to the board on a closed session agenda item at this time? I don't see anyone in the boardroom. Do we have anyone online or any online?
No
comments?
online.
No online comments?
No.
Okay. So in that case, I think I can dispense with reading all this, right? And then we will adjourn to executive session. Okay, there we go. Okay, we are back now from closed session. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please join me. Hey. Welcome to the regular board meeting of September 5th, 2024. Members of the public, please submit your public comment as follows. In-person public comment may be made in person in the boardroom by filling out a public speaker request form located at the entrance of the meeting room. If you're on Zoom, you may raise your virtual hand to request to speak and offer comment in real time. You will have 2 minutes to speak. You may also submit comments electronically online before or during the meeting, the 1,000 character limit, by accessing the agenda link to the form on the district's homepage. Please reference the agenda number in your written comment. Please note that regular and special meetings of the Board of Trustees and board study sessions are streamed live on meeting nights and are also available for viewing the day after the meeting by accessing the district's YouTube channel, listed on the district's webpage at ESUHSD.org under the quick links section. The board is not able to respond to items that are not on the agenda or any personnel issues. Your comment will be read into the record and will be directed to the superintendent and/or the appropriate staff member for response. Interpretation of this meeting in Spanish and Vietnamese can be heard by accessing the link and following the instructions shown on the agenda and the district's website. And hopefully, if you're a Spanish or Vietnamese speaker, figure that out somehow. I think that's printed in those languages on our homepage, right? Okay. All right, now we're moving on to item 5. Any items that we want removed, Mr. Superintendent?
Yep. No requests from the administration.
Okay, moving on to item 6. We do have some a person that we would like to acknowledge, and I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent to share about that.
Yeah, there's no official recognition that was put into the board agenda, but we subsequently learned that John L. Hernandez passed away this past weekend, and many people might not know him. Mr. Hernandez was born in 1931 in Michoacan. His family moved to Montana, to Monterey, and landed in San Jose. Mr. Hernandez was asked to serve in the military before being able to enter into a university. John Hernandez was christened Juan, but had his name changed to John by an English teacher. This is a person that became Peterson High School's first Mexican-American principal and the first assistant principal and the first principal of Yerba Buena High School when it opened in 1972. I've never met John Hernandez, but I know many people who have. And to a person, they speak of someone who was a difference maker in their life, who was present outside, always engaging with students, knew their name, looked for the best in them and challenged them to do better. And one thing I hear about him that I just love is that he said, I didn't reach every kid. Every kid didn't turn towards a positive success. But any of the time that I invested in someone who didn't, that was not a waste of time. It's still worth the investment in whatever choice our children's made to make. And so our condolences go out to Hernandez family, but also our thanks and appreciation for their support and his life. And just as a reminder to all of us currently educating that tomorrow, again, we have that opportunity to see the best in each other and work towards possibilities for the opportunities that when Mr. Hernandez entered our country had not been afforded to people like him previously. And he broke through that and made sure that he saw the opportunities and possibilities in others. So we just want to honor that and thank all our educators who do that every day.
Thank you so much for that, please.
I really appreciate this remembrance of John Hernandez. Thank you for sharing that. And my understanding is, Madam President, you'll be adjourning the meeting in his honor.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on to 7:01, we'll hear from our Student Governing Board Representative, Katie.
Hello, everyone. At the last SGB meeting on Tuesday, we filmed a fun promotional video for college night to encourage our friends and students to come out and learn more about what their opportunities are post-high school. We also elected our executive board. So now we have a full executive board and we can start planning meetings and figuring out what we want to do this year. And since the last meeting, the vice chair also went to present at the activity directors meeting, and we are now in the process of recruiting, interviewing, and appointing new members to join our team. Members of SGB are also currently working on a proposal to send to CSBA for a chance to present at a workshop in Anaheim. And those are our main updates, and we are excited for our budget conversation next meetings. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Katie. Okay, item 801, superintendent or board, are there any items that we want to hear in a different, out of our regular order?
There are none.
Then we will move on to item 10, which is public comment. Members of the public may address the board on any subject not on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act preclude any action. As an unagendized item, no response is required from the board or district staff, and no action can be taken. However, the board may instruct the superintendent to agendize the item for a future meeting. Any person may address the board on any item in the meeting agenda. Persons wishing to address the board may participate and comment as follows. In-person public comment may be made. It looks like we might have a few. In the meeting by filling out a public speaker request form at the room's entrance. When your name is called, please come to the podium and state your name for the record. You may also raise your virtual hand in Zoom to request to speak and offer comment in real time. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Persons may also fill out a speaker request form via online submission. That's just on our website, right? Okay. ESUHSD.org. Comments should be limited to no more than 1,000 characters in length. Please reference your submission. In your submission, the agenda number for your comment. Your comment will be read out loud as part of the public meeting. So are there any?
So there is no online written comment and there is no online verbal content. So we
Okay.
can move into those in person.
Yeah, looks like we have a few. You are just in time. Welcome. You want to just bring them up here? That would be great. Okay, so we have some public speakers. Welcome. Come on in, take a seat. I will call up 2 at a time, and if the speaker could come up and state your name And then you just turn on the mic by pressing the button up here at the podium until it's green. State your name for the record and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. The second person, please just line up right behind the speaker, okay? So the first speaker will be Manushree Desai, followed by Crystal Nguyen.
Hello, board members. My name is Manushree Desai, and I'm a member of the Student Governing Board, so I may be familiar to you. So today I want to bring an important issue to your attention from Silver Creek High School. Since late last year, our school has been without an activities director. Initially, we were informed that Mr. Chu, our activities director, was on leave with no clear indication of his return. As weeks passed, Mr. Chu was absent from key events such as graduation, Fantastics, and other Silver Creek traditions. His sudden disappearance from our campus after being such a constant presence, like he was always at school, almost lived there, left us really confused. And there has been no communication from Mr. Chu or the administration regarding the situation. So a teacher kindly stepped up to take his spot as a leadership class teacher, but we still don't have a permanent activities director, let alone someone that can do it as well as Mr. Chu did with dedication and grace. At this time, we are operating without an activities director, and both the leadership team and the student body are struggling to manage events and responsibilities. With many significant events on the line, the absence of an activities director is deeply felt. Today, you will hear from multiple Silver Creek students who will share their experiences and emphasize Mr. Chu's importance to our school community. We strongly urge the board to take immediate action in either reinstating Mr. Chu or appointing a new activities director to support us during this crucial time. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. And following Crystal, Hillary Quinn, if you could line up behind Crystal, that'd be great. Go ahead, you have to. Oh, is it green?
Okay.
There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Crystal, a 3-year spirit leader. I wanted to start off by saying, although we have the staff and administration support and how they've helped us through the time period of Mr. Chu not showing up to school, since his absence, our ASB and leadership class has been struggling and working harder to figure out forms, due dates, and where everything is. Silver Creek isn't Silver Creek without Mr. Chu. A former Raider himself, he built our school's reputation. He made our school a better place for future generations to thrive and learn what they love and enjoy through clubs. Yes, you could get us a new activities director, but will any of them stay late for us, come and open doors and get supplies for us at 1 a.m. the night of an event? In other words, will anyone ever be as dedicated as Peter Chu? No one could fill in Mr. Chu's role at our school. Yes, admin and many staff members have been trying to learn and help us in any way possible and do what they can to help us as ASB and leadership to execute these events. However, the one person who truly knows the school, their events, and the way the system works is Peter Chu. This man has multiple jobs and can quit anytime, but he wants to stay. He wants to come help us. Please acknowledge the fact that with one crucial teacher missing, the campus is in chaos. Administrators, teachers, and student volunteers have all tried to fill that one teacher's shoes. They still can't. Thank you.
Thank you. And then following Hillary, if Jessica Van could please line up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hillary Quinn. I am currently Silver Creek's ASB treasurer and formerly class of 2026 treasurer my freshman year and class vice president my sophomore year. Throughout my years in leadership, I've witnessed firsthand the amount of hours and loads of work it takes to run the leadership class, as well as being in charge for all of our school events. It is agreeable that an activities director has countless responsibilities and loads of work it takes to run the leadership class, as well as being in charge of all of our school events. Oh, sorry, I just repeated that. It is agreeable that an activities director has countless responsibilities and has to put numerous hours into the school. I have seen Mr. Chu's dedication to our school through his extra hours and consideration to his students. His commitment to the school impacted many students in his absence, and for just a few weeks had many students questioning how leadership would function without him. Due to Mr. Chu's absence, an excessive workload has fallen onto leadership students, my ASB board, as well as amazing staff and administrators. We are extremely lucky that Ms. James has stepped up as our leadership substitute, as she is balancing her own full class schedule while having to fill in additional responsibilities. I'd also like to give an appreciation to the admin and staff and teachers, as they have also been taking on more of an obligation to support the class during games, events, and rallies. We can only accomplish so much at the time due to the tediousness of having to confirm commitments through administration. The staff, teachers, and admin have their own duties, families, work, and personal life of their own. Without an activities director, numerous events and activities lack consistent supervision, leading to disruptions and inefficiencies. Other staff and administrators have been burdened with our own extensive responsibilities and do not have the capacity to lend their full time or support. Without adequate supervision, students and the quality of our events pay the price. Please consider the impact that the absence of an activities director has on the school and students. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you. And behind Jessica, Romeo? Jessica?
My name is Jessica Van, and I'm the current sophomore class president at Silver Creek High School. Our school is known for our enormous spirited events such as Nonfire and Fantastics. These events unite the students and teachers and spark strong bonds between the students and their dedication to Silver Creek. Personally, these events give me a sense of purpose and something to eagerly anticipate each day. It's during these moments that I feel closest to my peers and to Silver Creek as a whole. There's an indescribable feeling of belonging and excitement when I'm with my class and friends after school. However, to continue creating more memories, Silver Creek needs an incredible activities director, and I firmly believe that Mr. Chu has been an exceptional leader for us. He went above and beyond, supporting us throughout events and fostering the vibrant, energetic atmosphere that became so familiar and cherished last year. Although we've only had a few events this school year so far, I've noticed that the social environment and school spirit are not quite the same as they were last year. It's clear that our leadership students and admin are doing their utmost to keep the school exciting and engaging, but the energy and enthusiasm that Mr. Chu brought to his role were truly unparalleled. Beyond his work with class events, Mr. Chu also plays a crucial role in supporting our clubs. As the advisor for Vietnamese Student Association in the Lion Dance Club, he has been instrumental in their success and growth. His dedication goes far beyond just attending meetings or overseeing events. He actively fosters an environment where students feel encouraged and empowered. Mr. Chu's dedication to Silver Creek extends to the personal growth of each student involved in these clubs, leadership, and more. He takes the time to understand their goals and aspirations, offering guidance and giving them endless opportunities. His impact is seen not only in the successful events and performances, but also in the confidence and skills that students gain under his mentorship. Mr. Chu's contributions to our clubs and the broader Silver Creek community have been extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you. And following Romeo is Angela Kate.
Good evening, esteemed members of the board. My name is Romeo Vigil, and I'm the Chief Justice for the Associated Student Body at Silver Creek High School. I'm here today on behalf of the students of Silver Creek High School to present a petition that has been signed by individuals from all areas of our campus, students from different backgrounds, clubs, classes, and activities. The reason we have gathered here tonight is clear. We are calling for the return of Mr. Peter Chu, our activities director. As students, we understand that there are complexities and challenges involved in this situation, and that there are decisions being made beyond our control. We approach this matter with respect for the responsibilities of everyone involved. However, what we have experienced firsthand are the effects of Mr. Chu's absence, and it's those effects that have motivated so many students to unite in this petition. His absence has been felt deeply, particularly in areas of school leadership, spirit, and the sense of community that we hold in high esteem at Silver Creek. Since Mr. Chu's absence, our school has continued to function with the support of our incredible admin team and staff who have truly stepped up to ensure that we are still able to succeed. I want to express my deepest gratitude to them for their hard work and dedication during this time. Their efforts have been essential to keeping Silver Creek on track. But despite their support, the absence of Mr. Chu's unique leadership and expertise is undeniable. Tonight, I bring to you this petition signed by students across all grades and areas of campus. We, as students, are asking for one thing: the board to prioritize the return of Mr. Chu to Silver Creek. While we recognize the challenges involved, we firmly believe that his return is essential to fully restoring the strength and spirit of our school community. His presence is a cornerstone of our school's activities, leadership development, and school-wide engagement. We ask that you seriously consider our request and take the necessary steps to ensure Mr. Chu's timely return to Silver Creek as our activities director. His leadership is vital to our continued growth, and we need him back to continue building a strong community that we cherish. Thank you for your time and consideration. We trust that you'll take the student voice into consideration as you make this important decision, and we trust that you'll make the right one. Thank you.
Thank you. And following Angela Kate is Vinal Jinasurendra. Please line up. Okay.
My name is Angela Kate San Juan, class of 2025, four-year president of Silver Creek High School. Today, I stand here before you to be the voice of not only our leadership class, but the voices of all the fellow students that count on Peter Chu, our beloved activities director. As mentioned, we have a petition of all of the students who support and care for our teacher. Over 500 students, about a quarter of our school population, who have taken the initiative to physically sign this act of advocacy to bring back our activities director, Mr. Peter Chu, back to Silver Creek High School. I have been in leadership since my freshman year when Mr. Chu was first instituted as Silver Creek High School's activities director. Throughout those 4 years, I have learned to love leadership and the importance it has for our school community. I couldn't have seen our school throughout this light without his vision for the community. He not only brought the spirit of Silver Creek onto campus, he brought motivation to all students who cross his path. What I know of leadership is what he taught me, which is that each of us don't do our roles just for college applications or the recognition. We do it because we genuinely love what we do for our school, and we each have a passion for it. This passion grew not only with our triumphs, but with our challenges as well. Carrying the passion for something helps motivate us to do our responsibilities no matter how overwhelming the job could be. And that is our purpose of being here tonight, fighting for our teacher, Mr. Chu. He has that same passion which inspires us every day. Mr. Chu is not your standard activities director. I can't think of any other teacher that would stay countless hours after school and is dedicated to the school as much as he is. If you go around our campus, ask anyone about Mr. Chu, they would have similar testimony to his character. Our teacher genuinely cares about our school and its students, always putting his maximum effort into what we do to succeed. Do you mind if I present you the petition? Thank you.
Okay, so following Vinal is our last speaker, Leticia Pedrosa. You could line up, please.
Good evening, Board of Directors. My name is Vinal Jinasundra, and I've had the honor of serving as the treasurer for the class of 2027 at Silver Creek High School for 2 years. At school, there are some teachers that have a lasting impact on their passion and their dedication. Mr. Chu, our leadership teacher, is a profound example of this. As our leadership teacher, Mr. Chu has been an invaluable asset to our school, significantly enriching our experience at Silver Creek High School. His tireless commitment has fostered a vibrant and engaged student environment. Under his guidance, our events have not only met, but frequently exceeded our expectations. The role of an activities director is essential. It functions in many ways, even as a parent for our leadership class. Mr. Chu's expert oversight and lengthy experience, even as former SCHS leadership alumni, is critical for its success. His skillful management of logistical details allows the leadership team to focus on delivering high-quality events. Without his support, achieving the same level of professionalism and effectiveness would be unattainable. As we approach major events such as Non-Fire and Homecoming, the necessity of Mr. Chu's presence becomes even more evident. His dedication is apparent in every facet of our event planning and execution. I personally haven't been involved in leadership since elementary school and have worked with at least 6 different activities directors. I can assert with confidence that Mr. Chu is the most dedicated AD I've ever encountered. He always participates in all of our events during peak event periods. Many students have always stated, quote, Mr. Chu basically lives in leadership, as a justification to send him emails late at night asking for help, and he always responds. His dedication to his role on campus is clearly evident. Mr. Chu has served not only as a mentor and an educator, but also as a leader and a guardian for every member of our class. His contributions and his open ears are always deeply valued, and his support has been instrumental in shaping our leadership program. Mr. Chu is paramount to maintaining the high standards and success of our leadership activities. His unparalleled dedication and impact on our school community makes him irreplaceable. I urge the board to consider the voice of our students, and we place our trust in you. Thank you so much for your attention and your thoughtful consideration and your time.
Hello, my name is Letitia Pedroza. I'm here as a parent of a student who's been in Mr. Chu's class for 4 years and also was treasurer freshman year. That teacher gives more to that school than the administration does. I know this because my daughter has had dealings with them when Mr. Chu has been out and needed to get into a room, and it's hurry up, get in there, get out. I need to be somewhere. You will not find a teacher who does better, who does more, who cares, who will always take care of his kids before he takes care of himself. I know that nobody knows the situation. I don't know the situation. What I do know is that he was thrown into a position freshman year. And if he is being held accountable for whatever is going on, I hope that the people that are above him, that supervise him, are also held to the same standards. Because if he failed somewhere, he was not taught correctly, or he did not have the information that he needed. Unfortunately, I've had dealings with the administration at that school as well, and they are not very quick to respond, to have a conversation, to deal with the situation. And this is me as a parent of a student. He will always be there for these kids, and if he is being let go because of something that may or may not be his fault, or maybe because he was not taught appropriately, that is also unacceptable for a teacher when they give so much and get so little in return. He lives at that school. He prepares all of their functions. He makes sure that they're fed if they're there. He makes sure that he is available to be there when they need to be there for any groups, any meetings, anything that goes on there. So I really hope that when you're taking into consideration whatever the situation is, that all parties are held accountable and not just him. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank all of our speakers who came in and shared your passion. I love, as you know, hearing students. So we appreciate your being here, and we hear what you have to say. So thank you very much.
And also those who didn't speak, but you're here. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any online or a written comment that came in? No, okay, thanks. All right, well, we're going to move on to item 11. Just so I think students, you might have missed the part when we were walking in. We can't respond because you came and spoke on an unagendized item. We can't respond to that, okay? But we can let you know that we heard you, okay?
And that we
Thank you.
appreciate you taking time to be here.
Yes, yes, yeah, thank you. Okay, nothing under item 11. Item 1201 is discussion and or action to receive the first reading of proposed amendments to board policy 5146. And this is a first reading. So I don't know if anyone has any comments or questions.
So is this for the,
This is item 1201, the proposed amendments to board policy 5146 on married pregnant parenting students.
it's the time where I can ask questions about it? Okay.
This is the time to ask questions for sure.
It was on page 2, I think it said that the blue text was crossed out, that alternative schools, programs of choice, and independent study was crossed out. So my question is, for students who need to shift fully to an online asynchronous form of studying or synchronous asynchronous form of studying to ensure that they're able to graduate with all the credits needed and not have that interfere with their health needs, are they allowed to have quality education from home and still get help from services and supports? I just think about like high school stigmatization of like teen pregnancy and what this means for the student. So how can the student best be comfortable from their own comforts of their home while also receiving quality education?
Yeah, thank you for
Senator
that.
Marquez, do you want to take that?
I'll
Yeah,
take that.
thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, just a little background. When we bring board
policies for amendment, we rely on the policies that have been vetted through what is called the California School Boards Association, because they have their legal teams that review education code, legislation to ensure that we have the most up to date. So that's the first thing. We take the language that has been already adopted and vetted by the California School Boards Association. But to specifically answer your questions, part of making these changes is that we need to ensure that our students, if they are pregnant, married, they still have a right to every service available to them as any other student. And so we don't force them into independent studies if that's not what they want. It has to be voluntary and it has to be their choice. And so the short answer is yes, they continue to have every opportunity that any other student would have, including during their time that if a student is pregnant, during the time that they need to be off for medical reasons, we put them on home hospital instruction so that they don't lose the opportunity and access to their instruction. And then it's up to the student to decide what's the best program for them, whether it's independent studies, whether it's a smaller alternative site, or if they want to return to their comprehensive high school. We need to ensure that they have full access to the full instructional programs as well as curriculum and those resources.
Anything else, Katie?
I'm not really sure how the whole process works, but I noticed that like on page 3, when it says like healthcare services, including prenatal care, does this extend to the student like throughout their whole pregnancy and post? So, like, is this support continued all the way?
Yeah, that's why they put pregnant, parenting, and lactating students. So it's through the whole duration of the time that they needed. And it is just so, again, just for your background, if it's blue and crossed out, that means that it's no longer applicable as per whatever new ed code or legislation has come forth. And if it's red, it's the added text that has come forth as from the sample policies that we have as part of the California School Boards Association. Mhm.
Anything else, colleagues? Just one thing that I caught my attention was at the end, program evaluation. This isn't a comment on the policy. I think the policy is fine. But it says the superintendent or designee shall periodically report to the board regarding the effectiveness of district strategies to support current, potential, and past married, pregnant, and parenting students, which may include data on student participation in district programs, et cetera. At the end of the meeting, I'll be asking for that because in particular, I wanted, a couple years ago, we terminated our childcare program. And I'd be curious to know what kind of support our pregnant and parenting students are getting with regard specifically to childcare and how many students are participating and what services are available to them, that kind of thing. So, so it was good to get that refresher through this policy, but I think that's it for first reading, right? Okay, thank you. Moving on to 1202, discussion and or action to receive the first reading of proposed amendments to Board Policy 6159.1. This is procedural safeguards and complaints for special education. Any comments from the board or our board student representative?
One more question, sorry.
No,
for
no need to apologize.
For the draft reading, when there's like, it has all these like ed codes and then like the description is that just, is it explained somewhere else? Like,
They are. So you have included in there is you have the California Code of Regulations, you have referenced ed code. And so, yeah, if you wanted to look for any one of those ed codes or the Code of Regulations, you'd have to go somewhere else to go look. You'd have to go under ed code legislation, or you'd have to go under the California Code of Regulations to be able to find those. This for us is board policy. And what that does, it just references where the what ed code it is that we are abiding by with our policy, as well as the California Code of Regulations that we're abiding by, that is included as reference for us putting together this board policy.
Thank you. And one more thing for like,
It's like your citations in a paper, right? You cite where you get your research from, where you get your reference from. It's like that.
and one more thing about accommodating for students with disabilities for whether it's like field trips or I don't know, maybe school rallies, clubs, things like that. How does the district or how can the school help with like accommodating and making sure that they receive like a wholesome educational experience?
Yeah, so it's our obligation. So we have to, as per what's listed here, which is IDA, which is federal guidelines, we have to do everything we can to ensure that our students with disabilities have full access, similar to the previous policy, full access to all the programs, all the activities, and as needed with accommodations, right? And I think a lot of folks, when you think about students with disability, you think of students that have physical disabilities, but this also entails our students that have different disabilities, such as processing disabilities that may not manifest themselves physically. And so we have an obligation to provide in the classroom, outside of the classroom, with all the services for students to be included. So an example is for our students who have more of the exceptional needs or more severe cognitive disabilities, are we including them in our ASB activities? Do we ensure that they have access to participate in clubs? Do we ensure that they have access to all the field trips as you have mentioned? How are we promoting our ASB activities so that it doesn't exclude our students with disability, in particular those that have our more extensive cognitive disabilities? Do they feel welcomed at the prom? And so those are the things that we need to make sure that we ensure, so that's both in the classroom accommodations to access instruction, but also a welcoming environment and inclusive activities outside of the classroom.
Thank you.
Really great questions. Okay, moving on then to 1203, discussion and or action to receive first reading and adopt proposed amendments to board policy 1312.3, uniform complaint procedures, receive administrative regulation 1213.3 on uniform complaint procedures, and waive board bylaw 9310 requiring second reading. So in other words, we're going to pass this tonight, right?
Yes, administration is requesting that the board bypass the second reading and approve it on a first reading. There were changes to the CSBA language based on some changes in procedures as of July 1st, 2024. And we need to make sure that they are included as part of our board policy as well as our processes so that we can publicize this to our families, given that the handbook is going to be going out soon. And we need to make sure that we have the most up-to-date UCP processes for our families.
Okay, so then I would need actually a motion and a second. I heard moved by Chavez, second by Lay. Katie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, there's one aye. One aye. Board, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, thank you. All right. 1301, we have a presentation, discussion, and our action regarding analysis of staff out-of-pocket expenses. And we've got a presentation by our Superintendent of Business, Tom Quinn.
Thank you, Madam President. Board of Trustees, Tom Nguyen, Associate Superintendent of Business Services for Eastside Union High School District. And so we have a brief presentation tonight on out-of-pocket expenses and let's cut classroom supplies. And in that, we're going to look over at our budgeting aspect and budget utilization, in addition to rolling out of our new reimbursement process. Why or under what scenario or circumstances staff incur out of pocket. These are just some examples, and then the next steps of what we're planning to do. So currently our allocation per FTE is shown in science, CT, art, and others. All others are, every other departments. How we distribute the funds is be determined by department, how many FTEs exist in the department by school site. and then the departments get that allocation. Then from there, the department chairs working with their staff members allocate the funding per each individual staff members to use at the sites. When we look at our budget utilization, the next slide has our core subject areas. And in the past 3 years, we show essentially an underutilization of our budget amounts. And so this current year, or as we close our financial books for 23-24, we show a utilization of 88.13% or 18%, which essentially means that we've allocated more money than what the teachers and the staff have used up for the year. Prior to that, it was 90%, and previous to that it was 78.54%. For our electives, it's slightly a different story. You can note that in some of the red fields, but for the most part, overall, it is still underutilized based upon the budget that we've allocated for the various departments. 66.35, 85.72, and 70.44%. So there's money there, so to speak, and our staff haven't fully utilized what has been allocated for them.
Just quickly before you move on, can we use this data to then sort of make adjustments?
I don't think this presentation is about making adjustments at this point, whether it's to increase or decrease. This is just an update as far as where we're at. That can come at a later date if the board wishes to address that item.
Thank you.
Just a quick clarifications. When you calculate whether a percent of usage, you take the totality divided by the average, something like that. I know I'm very simplistic about approaching,
Right.
but does that equate to some individuals may spend more, spend less than that amount?
Right.
Because let's say 5 people spending significantly less than, it will skew the data, but that doesn't mean that some teachers may also still be out of pocket.
Correct. So this is taking the district in total, right? So it's a
From a budget
broad
standpoint.
macro point of view. There are some sites and some departments within these grand total that overspent or underspent more drastically. This is just the average, right? So we do have the breakdown. If you like the individual site per teacher, we can send that to you on a Friday update, and you can read all of that if you like. But this just captures the overall perspective, because I don't think you want an 80-page PowerPoint for this presentation.
I for one am not asking for that, so.
I don't know. Are you?
We have it. I mean, that's how we got these numbers,
Your time could be used in other places more wisely.
but we can send it to you on Friday if you like. Yeah.
I do have a question, and maybe it's also answered at the end through your next steps, but it's, do you have an idea why these monies are not being fully utilized, or is that what you're hoping to learn more at the end?
Towards the end.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool, thanks.
Okay. And then some of the possible scenarios or reasons why teachers would go out of pocket, considering that there's money, quote unquote, left on the table, right? And as to what Board Member Doe mentioned, new teachers do present a higher need than more veteran teachers. They're setting up a brand new classroom, new subject areas, so that's a no. Typically or historically, what some of our site admins do is they would augment those new teachers, recognizing that they do have a higher level of need with their other sources of funding. And so the site admin has the discretion to supplement the allocation. Okay, and so I think our biggest takeaway, our biggest message to our teachers is if they're running into any kind of difficulty as far as budgeting for their classroom supplies, then their first approach is to talk to the site administrator and then see how they can assist them in doing that before they go out of pocket. Okay.
But I'm imagining that a staff person could make that kind of request and be denied at the administration level because it takes away from some other thing that the administration is giving more priority to. So it kind of essentially gets stifled in the system. I'm imagining.
In theory, yeah. In theory, the admin can say, no, we earmarked our money. We have other items, correct. But based on our total average utilization, when all the budget is showing under, that would be hard for us to process them doing that, right? But again, that's just the grand average. One other way or nuance of how some teachers can over utilize their funding is because of how we distribute the funding to the departments. The department as a whole can vote and through consensus decide to withhold the fully allocated amount to each department member so that they can save the funds to purchase a large item for the entire department, right? And so if they need to purchase a large printer, like a one-time cost for the year, then perhaps that year staff members get a little bit less, and then to save up for purchase of an item for the greater good of the entire department. And then there are just some times, and I think this happens more often than not, that the purchases are either considered gifts and are inappropriate for reimbursements. Then there's purchases of items that eventually become a I'm sorry.
I would love not necessarily now to have examples of that category, purchase of gifts that are not appropriate for reimbursement.
So one
Okay.
example would be like if a teacher wanted to purchase lollipops or chips to
I
encourage
mean, something that's
participation.
actually occurred.
Yeah.
This has occurred? They purchased lollipop?
Well, no, these are examples of things that may be inappropriate for reimbursement.
Okay, I'm just interested in specific examples that illustrate what you're saying. They purchased something that is considered a gift and not appropriate for reimbursement. I understand the concept.
Right.
I'm just looking for actual data, not now, but later. You know.
Right. So the data would be the next steps as far as gathering that data. But as far as what comes across our way, we only see what gets turned in for reimbursements, right? And so if teachers are reticent about turning in those reimbursements because they feel that it's not appropriate to be reimbursed, then they wouldn't necessarily turn those in when they go out of pocket. There are times when teachers purchase items that will eventually become their property, therefore they can't be reimbursed for it, and thus they don't turn in that reimbursement. An example would be if they bought a novel that they eventually want to take home for their own personal library, they would use that novel or book in their class for instructional purposes with the intent of then owning that, therefore that can't be reimbursed as a personal property.
Okay, I understand the example.
Okay.
I'm looking for data. I'm looking for this happened,
Sure.
you know, and this teacher bought this book, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for more than concept or
Yep.
reference. I'm looking for data.
Okay.
Later, not now.
You got it. So this is just a brief overview. And then as far as the specific data, we can drill down as specific as you like. And that's in the next steps. And then of course, teachers changing departments, similar to a new teacher. And so our next steps as far as what we're planning, well, not next steps, but we have a new reimbursement process. And so this year, there's been a greater focus on trying to get reimbursements out to staff members in a more timely manner. Beginning this November, we're going to implement reimbursements through Munis, through the request for check process. And so that's going to streamline the process in which we monitor and then track the reimbursements that are coming through our system.
Going back again, I don't want to have been misunderstood. I'm not looking for a lot of data to illustrate like inappropriate. I'm just looking for some examples that are actual incidents.
Sure.
Examples as opposed to getting a whole report of, of that kind of thing. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Understood. So then our next step is to conduct a survey of staff to determine to what degree they're spending out of pocket. And so in 2013, we sent out a survey that comprised about 13 questions to all staff members. There were 478 respondents to that survey, and it asked them a myriad of questions. How much are you going out of pocket? What are you purchasing? Why did you feel the need to go out of pocket, et cetera, et cetera. So I asked all those questions. Our intent is to send a similar survey out or with additional questions if the board so chooses. But we can send that for the board to review maybe in a Friday update before we send that survey out to our staff members.
So there was a survey conducted in 2013?
2013, correct.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. And
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to this new
Yeah.
survey.
We can send the 2013 survey and the results of it. There was a board presentation about it as well, so we'll just pull it up and send it to you. Maybe tomorrow is Friday, so we'll send that to you on a Friday update. And then we'll either revamp that survey if the board likes the same type of questions, or we can add additional questions if we want. That's part of this presentation is just gather, okay, what would you like in this next survey that we're going to send out? And then once we get input, from the board, then we can send out a similar exact or a variant of that survey, and then collect data from our staff members. And that will then hopefully inform us as far as the next steps in terms of, budgeting for 24, 25 and beyond.
Mr.
We-
Nguyen, 1 minute. I'm just want to get clarification from my colleague. You're looking for example. So if the survey is giving out a generic anonymous, I presume, right? Would that give you the information you're looking for versus specific individual saying, hey, I'm having this reimbursement issues and I'm spending out of pocket and that would, which one of these?
All of the
scenario-
above, all of the above. I want to pin this thing down, why it persists.
Right?
Maybe it's because people just aren't following through on what they need to do, what have you. And again, I was just looking for examples. I don't want an extensive report on this was denied because it was like a gift or you're going to take some, just examples. And surveys like this to give the macro picture or trends or status of how this thing is functioning, how it's showing up.
Trend require multiple survey, but not for you got a trend.
He just
Well,
wants
But if you are
examples.
taking a snapshot,
Yeah, snapshot. Let's use the
Okay.
word snapshot then.
I think a handful
Okay.
of examples.
So if you recall in 2013, I had to use the word example, but one of the outcomes of the survey was that teachers were spending a lot of their own out-of-pocket funds on Kleenex, right? And so that then informed the board to direct staff to make sure that Kleenexes are available in all our classrooms. And so if we issue the same type of survey, you might get that same type of result, or we can tweak the questions as necessary. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a particular question I would want to see in the survey. I think what's most important for me to understand is the why, which sounds like, I feel like I heard you say that already, like, why is it that they're doing this? That will then inform the training. I am curious to see if there's trends across sites or at specific sites, and why that's happening.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get a lot revealed when we send out the survey for the staff. And again, the last time we did it, we had 478 respondents, and so hopefully we can get the same level of participation this time around. But it's a very good sample size. Okay.
I have a quick questions on your page 7 mention about the beginning this fiscal year, great attention is placed open processing reimbursement within a 30-day period.
Yes.
What happened to the past reimbursement if you didn't keep up, the timeline? Everyone have to push forward, or how does that work for the reimbursement?
So are you referring to the deadline of 30 days for staff members to submit reimbursements?
Yes.
That is within a board policy to encourage that deadline. We have received reimbursement requests that are in excess of those 30-day deadlines, and we have honored those requests so far. But we've honored it with communication out to our sites and our administrators to say, we'll approve it this time, but please let your staff know and remind your staff that we would like to get this within 30 days, so that's not late. Our goal is to then, when we receive it within the 30-day timeline, then issue out those reimbursements within those 30 days. It's a goal that we have. I don't think we're there quite yet. But in November, with the new reimbursement process, what it will enable us to do is, because since it's going through Munis and through the request for check system, we're going to be able to track every single request and every single reimbursement that comes through our system. We currently don't have that mechanism, right? Because it's sent to an email and then it gets processed, and then and part of the feedback we got from the site is we don't know where our reimbursements are at, in what process, and who has to sign off, et cetera. In November, we'll have that cleared up. We'll know.
Okay, so for the reimbursement is November, so I think that's very good. We have the IFC through Munis. My question is the timeline when the teacher submit the reimbursement through the department head, and the department head will submit to your department. Am I correct?
So typically it's reimbursed through the principal secretary or department secretary.
Okay.
And then currently they would then scan it and send it an email to accounts payable for us to process. In November, instead of sending it through an email or scanning it, they're going to go right into Munis and then enter it into Munis, and it'll show when it was entered for the request for reimbursement.
So, okay, so that's 30 days from the day that I submit.
We receive, yeah, 30 days from when we receive. Now, of course, there are a myriad of different scenarios in which, or why we receive them late. Sometimes there's various points where the request could be delayed, right? But we can only deal with, and we can only work with what we know and what we receive, right? And so when we receive it, then our internal clock is, okay, let's try to process this within 30 days of when we receive it. And especially with going through Munis, we'll have a date stamp of exactly when we receive it. But again, I think the key item on here is once we receive it, our managers and coordinators, directors are going to pull that report and see where all the reimbursements are located, where all the requests for checks are currently, what stage they're at. And so we can monitor and track where they're at.
That is even more reliable and probably even more accurate than a survey, because now you have real data of real reimbursement process, how much people actually request for, and you can track down to individuals, not just school or not just group, but now individuals. And the example that he's looking for, I imagine in my head, just like.
So we currently know that already. It's just a slower process for us to process through that because we're doing it manually. So we do know, we check every cent to make sure that we reimburse properly. What we don't know that may be revealed from the survey is if teachers go out of pocket and they don't turn in reimbursement, right? And for what reason? Is it because they've used up all their money, they're out? Is it because they bought something that they feel is inappropriate, or maybe they just do it for charity? We don't know, right? And that's a part of the survey that's going to reveal to us.
Thank you.
And
I think that's great.
I have a quick one more question is, so like, if we have a delay, whatever the reason, so I think we should have a communication from the department to the department head or to individual teacher, because the person, I know when you submit the reimbursement and you kept waiting, we're not knowing, which part that they will fall into. That's my question. And the second question that, if the department head that did not use all of this funding allocated, could they carry over, or they have to finish, or they have to complete, that fiscal year? Because I know sometime when in the budget, we do have some carryover funding. Could you answer that?
So we recently haven't swept the site's allocations, and so they've been able to carry it over into the following year. Now it does get carried over, depending on the site, whether the site administrator wants to carry that fund over specifically towards that department, or whether they absorb it back into the principal's general account. That's up to the site admin to do, but we don't sweep the accounts if they haven't expended it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of just last items. We're going to ask the administrators to monitor and keep tabs with their staff members. Again, as far as communication out, why are you going out of pocket? Why do you feel the need to go out of pocket? Hey, we still have money left over in your department. Or are you going through the proper channels? And so I think greater level communication from us to the site admins and then from site admins to the teachers would be helpful as well.
Great.
I just want to appreciate the work that went into this and its depth and scope. It's more than I thought I would be getting, or we would be getting, when I requested something on this matter. But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're
Thank you.
totally on track here.
More to come later, but thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to.
We have one public written comment on that item.
Okay, very good.
Public comment from Thomas Brittendall, staff member. In December 2022, and then again last school year, the superintendent agreed to look into potential increases for at least some department budgets, specifically the visual arts, based on the need of those subject areas. Given that we still have subject areas with arts grant money to spend, the sooner the district informs a given subject area of any departmental budget increase, the better those teachers will be able to spend the arts grant money and plan for their future classes. 1, has the district gathered any survey data from staff about what they believe they need to run their class? 2, has the district calculated the effects of inflation on department budgets, especially those such as lab sciences and the arts? 3, has the district performed any other kind of information gathering on the matter that could help inform decision-making on this matter? If any or all responses are no, when will this information gathering begin? That is the end of online public comment.
So thanks for that. So some of the information gathering that you see is presented here and looking at what is our current expenses and utilization of those existing funds. And now this gives us an opportunity to say, okay, of that 12% or in other areas where it's greater or lower, what is being paid out of pocket, or what is just not being purchased that would be desirable that might result in an increase or a change in the allocation. And that's something that you can hear that has already started to be generated. Associate Superintendent Witt has a plan for gathering that data that both asks for what Board Member Herrera is asking for, but also to allow us to do some form of analysis about what's needed where. But with the caveat always that some programs are been funded with grants at a higher level, and others we're in a year where not a lot of one-time funds, and we'll see what the future holds to make those adjustments in an informed manner in a way that's fiscally responsible.
Okay, very good.
Just to the superintendent's comment. This is an area that to make an adjustment that more realistically meets the needs can be handled by the scope of the budget that we have. You know, we don't have to count pennies here. That's basically what I want to say. We carry over funds every year well within the required reserve and so on. And if this area just needs more investment and countering a school site culture that's been taught to limit their requests, to limit their expenditures, to essentially frustrate teachers in their classrooms with what they can spend, I think we need to reverse that. We need to have a culture where what is needed in the classroom is met. I don't think it's going to tilt this budget significantly to have that kind of a stance in how we operate and how we budget. That's all.
Philosophically agreed, and then practically we'll see what we can do in making that happen.
Yep, exactly right. Okay, moving on to 13.02, which is a discussion and or action to approve the contracts for professional services over 25,000. I'm just looking for a motion.
Second.
Oh, that's a tie. Moved by Herrera, second by Chavez. Katie, how do you vote?
Aye.
All in favor, board, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. There's nothing under 14. 15.01, discussion and or action to approve the bond capital project contracts over 50,000. Looking for a motion.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll give it to my colleague again.
I heard a motion by Chavez, a second by Lay. Katie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
That passes unanimously as well. And that now we are come to the consent calendar. I just need a motion for the consent. Okay, I have a motion by Doe, second by Lay. Katie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously as well. So now we are up to item 21, which is written reports. We do have a report 2102. That's the quarterly report on the County of Santa Clara Treasury Investment Portfolio. They manage our holdings. So that's a report for your interest. 2103, receive annual child nutrition services update report. That's available for your interest as well. Now moving on to item 22. Any board member may request items for future agenda, and I will just go ahead and start and say I would love to hear about what we're offering for pregnant and parenting students.
Madam President, may I ask just a question?
Of course, absolutely.
In supporting my team and I in putting together what the board is asking for future items, this one including other ones, it would be helpful for me if I had a better understanding as to what the intent is behind it. If it's, for example, for your own learning as a board member, is it to address a concern that has surfaced from a constituent or community? Is it to enact policy? Or is it to change a practice that we're currently?
That's a really great question. I guess, for me, it is, I did hear something, from a member of the community who said that, the person thought that most parenting students were just sort of relegated to home, in, independent studies. So I would be curious to see if that's actually the case. I'm also concerned because a couple years ago, this board voted to contract out our childcare services because at the time, it didn't seem like we were serving very many of our own students with childcare, and that mostly that was a service that was being provided to the community. And so I just wanted to see. Plus, I think at the time also our childcare service wasn't really providing many, we didn't have very many spots for infants, which is, I think, mostly what our students would need anyway. And so I just wanted to see what kind of support are our students getting with regard to childcare, particularly for infant children, because that's probably what they're dealing with. So
Thank you. That's
those are the
super helpful.
concerns that I have. Yeah.
Very helpful.
I'm
Thank you.
not looking for like a super in-depth thing, just kind of like,
No, I appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
super helpful to me. So if
Yeah,
for
good.
future items, that would be really helpful for my team and I, as I stated, to have that added
Perfect.
information would be great. Thank you.
all right. Anybody else?
I'd like to have request for better understandings of the and help me to get the right vocabulary or the right term that we use at our district. But the budget that each principal and each school site have in terms of discretionary for their particular program, whether it's for printing papers or toilet papers, etc., that they have, or the graduations material for graduations. Love to have that understanding. I know we had that conversations last school year. I know it's a few months ago, but it's last school year. Love to have that better understanding of what's the status and what impact that might have on our students' bodies.
Ask if it'd be appropriate for us to submit that first either as a report or as an update. And the reason I ask, and I'm saying this to the five, is that we had a lot of items last year and we're processing through them now, and we have September, our next meeting will be pretty stacked, and then we have just one in October, one in November. So if you want a presentation on that, we can do that. If it's acceptable to you in the form of a report, we can provide that information as well.
I
probably
prefer the
sooner.
presentation format, but I am comfortable getting as a report and then a follow-up questions, and I have that presentations similar to some of the other item that we had as a presentations. But now that I have far more questions on it, I would love to have that presentation. I think that might be helpful for us as an organization.
Thank you for that.
Well, and actually, I'll go back to mine. I'm content to have that update on parenting students as a report too. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you for that flexibility.
Yeah.
And just give us the options, should we want to expand or the need to expand further.
Okay, anything else? Less? All right. Then we'll just get board comments, and I will start to my left.
Next time, start at your right, please.
Okay.
With that, I have no comment.
Well, I just want to say that invite East Side community to join the Moon Festival. Will happen in next Saturday, September 14, to showcase, our student talents from East Side as well as the feeder district. Hopefully that our community will come and enjoy one full day, and also to support raising fund for Makindi Vento. That's all I have. Thank you.
Right.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Principal Honey Goban from James Lakes for a tour of the campus along with with her staff and the James Lake community. I appreciate the upbeat, the positive vibe as you walk through the campus, and I appreciate that. I also want to thank Dr. Rankel, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name, principal at Mount Pleasant, for an equally pleasant and delightful tour of the campus and sharing their concern. I'm looking forward to more conversations about how to be supportive all our school.
I have no comment. Thank you.
I just want to share what a delight it's been to work with this student governing board this year, especially. I mean, I delight in that group every year. I've got to say, this is really an incredibly proactive, organized group, and you know, appreciating your leadership and your engagement, Katie. Your questions tonight were awesome. So, really looking forward to what you're going to create this year. And we've got a training coming up that'll be after our next board meeting, but I'm looking forward to your supporting your orientation and training as well. And now it's your turn.
Thank you, Patty. Also, thank you, Ms. Marquez, for clarifying all my questions today. It really gave me insight as to what the district can do. And yeah, SGB is having its training day September 21st. So we're all excited about that. It's when we can start really having these conversations with everyone from around the district about what they're passionate about. So we're all really excited about that. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Superintendent.
Yeah, going back to what, I know we'll probably take a moment for John Hernandez in a minute, but just reinforcing that notion that it's important to invest in everybody. And people will make their choices about what their future holds, but the more that we can open up, the better. So I want to thank for life of that and for all the educators that currently do that. Amazing. I also want to thank that we started a new practice of going into different schools and meeting with students on a Thursday and then Wednesday, and then rolling out something on the Insta about students making good choices and how they've worked with counselors and teachers to just explore new options. And I want to thank the students. Yesterday we were over at Overfelt. We talked to 2 students that made really a difficult choice for them, but one that now they realized was in their best interest, took on additional challenges, and they're being successful in it. And we were wrapping that up, and 2 other students walked up and said, "What are we talking about?" I said, "We're talking about good choices." They're like, "Oh, I got one for you. I'm going to wrestle at a different rate, and let's go for the Spartan." Said, "Problem." I go, "All right, keep moving on." We got 2 more kids walking up. "What are you doing?" "We're on the youth commission for the city of San Jose, working with the mayor's office." I'm like, "Fantastic." There's a lot of good things that our students and our educators are doing together to broaden worlds, engage in new opportunities, and make a change for the future. So I'm glad that that's happening all across our different district. And the message to students is, one of the students said, "I never played flag football before, but like, you don't have to know it to try it, right? You don't have to already be an expert to get into it." And the students that are at San Jose State this year as freshmen said, "What would you say to students back in the high school? You can do this. You can do this. I would tell past me, go for it." We got a good thing, and I want to thank you that we're getting the word out and supporting each other collectively. Go East Side.
Well, and on that note, I see Sergio Diaz in the back of the room, and I really appreciated the amazing little videos, and I'm getting those pushed into my inbox. I love it. Thank you so much. Great, great work.
And I also want to say that the student governance board has done such a good job, you know, on Tuesday for video, and they practiced and they did wonderful job for the college
College
night.
night.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that was
That's
great.
awesome.
Wonderful. All right, a legal counsel, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Closed session report, closed session item 2.08. The board motion by member Doe, second by member Lay. The board voted unanimously to reject the claim of V. Posadas in the matter V. Posadas versus Eastside Union High School District. There are no further actions to report.
All righty. Well, just want to remind everybody that our next meeting will be Thursday, September 19th. And if we could take a moment, we will adjourn this meeting in memory of John Hernandez. Thank you.